All right, guys, welcome in. It is Tuesday. Time for what is now our daily, at least 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, free pick Major League Baseball show right here on WagerTalk TV. It's Total Bases. I've got Tokyo Brandon, Bryan Leonard. I didn't even look to see what a feature game would be before I jumped on. So, TB, pick what you think is the biggest game in Major League Baseball tonight. Just at a glance, if I put you on the spot right now, what do you think that the biggest game is in MLB tonight?
I think it's Dodgers Diamondbacks. That's just my opinion.
I agree. So that's where we're going to start. And okay. I know that we are going to, guys, we listen to your comments. So as you know, please continue to like and subscribe. I know we got it 5 days a week. We're trying to make this show as great as possible. We're going to put timestamps in for you because that was like the big thing in the chat that people asked for. So I'm going to go to Bryan Leonard first. TB is going to be our guy recording the timestamps throughout the show, and we'll get those in for you starting today so you can jump around game to game. I'm with you, TB. This D-backs Dodger series has a big game feel to it. D-backs win the opener last night. It's Yamamoto, Nelson tonight. Bryan Leonard, start us off.
Break up the Dodgers, the most expensive team in Major League Baseball, and they continue to get bombed. First it was the Angels. Now it's the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks clearly at least to me, the second best team in that division and their biggest rival. But yeah, the Dodgers right now are in major pitching problems. They do have their ace going today, so we'll see what happens. But it's tough to lay this kind of number with a team that just is not playing well right now, and that's the Dodgers. They're laying, I'm seeing anywhere from something in roughly 220 range, which would always keep me interested in the underdog, although they do have Ryan Nelson on the mound. He's filling in as a fill-in starter, but he can still go long. He can still go his 5 innings. He's okay. The experts kind of seem to like him a little bit better than what the general public does. Comes in with a 5.13 ERA and only 26 innings, but his expected ERA is 3.9. He's got great extension, 86th percentile, barrel rate 75th percentile, fastball velocity 78th. But he gets hit hard, and that is the problem he has had. Yamamoto, going into his last start, was untouchable. He's still fantastic. 2.12 ERA, 2.80 expected ERA. So he's pitching with a little bit of luck, but he's a ground ball pitcher, which is very good in this building. This is a really good hitter's park. 96th percentile on ground ball rate. Strikeout rate, 87%. Situation yesterday, I said if you were going to play it, you would play the over. I trust Yamamoto to keep Arizona in check here. But still, you're looking at a total of 9 here in a good hitter's ballpark with 2 really good hitting teams. If Yamamoto isn't on, I could see this to be high scoring, but he's been pretty consistent. Other than that grand slam he gave up that one game, one pitch hurt him really bad there. But I don't have enough to make a play on this. Like I do every morning at 6 a.m. here in Vegas. I'm getting my first looks at the card unless I've already planned to release something early, and I haven't released anything yet. So this is a fresh look at the card for me, and I just don't see enough to get involved in this one.
Well, Bryan likes Ryan Nelson more than I do because I don't like him at all. And if you look at what the Dodgers' problem is in this 4-game losing streak, it's obviously starting pitching. And today they finally have a solution to starting pitching in NL Cy Young contender Yamamoto. He did have a rough start against the Diamondbacks earlier, but I think this is the only chance for them to break out. Like Landon Knack is not a major league starting pitcher, I don't think. And the Dodgers' problem has been starting pitching. They lost Snell, they lost Glasnow, they've lost Sasaki. I mean, they have nobody starting. They still have the better bullpen than the Diamondbacks, but I agree with Bryan. Laying this number with a team on a 4-game losing streak, even with Teoscar Hernandez back, I would not recommend doing that. But there are some ways you can bet the Dodgers today if you really like them, and I actually really like them. I think Yamamoto to win at plus 120 is a decent bet. And I also like Teoscar Hernandez. Usually when players have a week or 2 weeks off like he did, Their first game back, they're very rusty, but second game, they start getting into the swing of things. He's 3 for 4 against Ryan Nelson in his career. And I think Teoscar Hernandez's hits, runs, RBIs over 1.5 at -110 is also a decent play for this one. So I think the Dodgers can win this, but yeah, 210 is ridiculous.
Now, I probably like Nelson more than the market does. I think there's a lot of upside there. He's got a really nice fastball. Not someone I really want to bet against because of where he gets priced, but at the same time, I do feel like you maybe missed your opportunity to fade the Dodgers. Like, if you didn't do it the last 4 days, do you really want to come out and go against Yamamoto, who's theoretically the guy that should stop the bleeding, right? Like, Tokyo Brandon makes a fantastic point. The issue has been pitching. There's no pitching issue when you have Yamamoto on the mound. And I think Bryan alluded to the last time he faced the Diamondbacks, gave up the grand slam, but for the most part, he was pretty solid the rest of the start. So maybe like because I'm higher on Nelson, maybe lean toward the under a little bit, think Yamamoto will pitch well, but yeah, tough game. I think overall, I think you're probably good to look at spots to fade this Dodgers team like long-term. If you haven't done it the past 4 days, I don't think you do it here. So pass for me, kind of agree with a lot of what Tokyo Brandon said for this one. Okay, Ronnie Vegas in the chat, algorithm boost. Yeah, like and subscribe. I'm going to keep saying it every show. Just because we're 5 days a week, we still need the likes, still need you to subscribe.
Yeah.
It boosts the numbers, and then we can get things like timestamps. Even though Tokyo Brandon's doing it right now, maybe one day will be important enough to have a producer do that instead of TB. Sorry.
One note, WagerTalk will take this show away from us if we don't get good viewership. So we need you guys to like it and even leave some comments on the replay because they do not hesitate pulling shows that get bad ratings. So help us out, guys.
That is very true. Kingwater, I called you Drew yesterday, Adam. Apologies. No worries. Drew Martin Betts is a good friend. He's one of the best. Wish we had him to host. Wish we had him to host this show so I didn't have to do it, but I'm going to try to get better in that regard. And he also compared us to the Miami Heat, big three of baseball. That is a serious compliment right there. So thank you for tuning in. We got Mike Fellows in the chat. He wants to cash some tickets today. So do I, especially after having the Orioles last night. But Tokyo Brandon, I did win this morning with the KT Wiz. So I'm less miserable than I thought I was going to be coming into this show. So I'm happy about that. And Gene, Strider first start off the IL. Also, Corbin Day looking real juicy. Let's talk about both those games. Let's talk about Spencer Strider first. Ronald Acuna might be back tonight. I haven't seen that for sure yet, but he was at Gwinnett last week. Played, I think, 4 games there with the Stripers. So logic says that like he should be almost ready to go. Usually the start of a new series after an off day. Minor League Baseball has Monday off. I haven't heard for sure if he's rejoining the team. So I'll go to Brian Leonard first. Let's talk about the Braves and the Nationals. Should we expect Ronald Acuna to make his debut tonight, or have you heard anything there either?
Yeah, it'll be sometime this week. I haven't heard, but he's really playing well in his rehab starts. So there was concerns coming in that he may lose some power, and he already talked about he wasn't going to run as much, but he'll be a definite advantage for this Atlanta team once he comes back. But without knowing he's going to be there, so it's kind of hard to talk about it. But Spencer Strider's coming back, and this is going to be an interesting start for him. He's had some goes and stops, and on his way back from Tommy John surgery. This one has nothing to do with his arm. It was I believe a pulled calf muscle or something to that effect. Kept him out for the last couple of weeks, but he has not pitched anymore this time. Any more actual games? He's just been working with the team in the backfields and all, but he did not look the same pitcher early. Obviously, it happens anytime you're coming back from major injury, major surgery. You're not going to look the same. So, I think he's being graded on as if it was prime Spencer Strider. And if you watched the first game, it wasn't. His extension is still great at the 87th percentile. Fastball velocity, 72nd. I believe it was down a 1 tick from when he was pitching before. But he's a very capable pitcher. The problem is the price range that this game is in, and we don't know how long he's going to go. I talked about lefties yesterday, and I made that comment that only 6 of the 30 teams had a winning record against lefties. And Atlanta's going against the lefty here. And yesterday, if you eliminated the games in which lefties went against each other, the team that had a lefty going against the righty, the lefties team won 3 out of 4, including, unfortunately, the Cincinnati Reds, which I faded yesterday. I had Pittsburgh. Cincinnati went with that bad bullpen. They threw really nobody out there for the last 3 innings, and Pittsburgh still couldn't score a run. That was my own fault for trying to expect Pittsburgh to score against minor league players. And so we lose our 5% on that, but still really good run, and still seeing things very well. But I can't lay Strider. Parker's been a guy that has been pretty good. His numbers are not terrific, but he gives you solid innings. And they got a lot of guys on this Washington team that are that way. His extension, 81st percentile, barrel rate, 92nd, so he doesn't give up a lot of hard hit balls, but he also doesn't strike a lot of batters out. His strikeout to walk ratio, 14.8 to 11.1, which is 3.7. Hard to back a guy with a 3.7 strikeout to walk ratio, especially when it's going up against the guy who's the king of that when he is healthy. Like Washington here, but maybe play Washington first 5 team total over, because I'm trying to fade Strider here. I'll give it more of a look as the day goes on, but that was my first inclination on this game, is trying to find a way to fade Strider in the first 5 innings.
My view on this is Strider is kind of an X factor, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're in the business of predicting the future, and I don't like X factors when I'm trying to predict the future. One thing I did notice when I looked over the numbers for this game, I have the advantage over Bryan since he just woke, and Adam since they just woke up, but I've had these numbers for about 6 hours now, so I've been able to look at them for a while. So it's kind of the advantage of living overseas. But Washington's team total extremely low, and the book is pricing Strider like he's an ace today. He is an ace, but I don't know if he's an ace today. If you can actually alt Washington's team total to 2.5, I think it's crazy low. It's not an official player. It's not part of the parlay or anything, but take a look at Washington's team total, because I think the book is pricing it way too low, in my opinion.
Brother, I've been up since 5:15 a.m. Eastern. I've already watched every pitch of KT Wiz Kia. I'm on my second coffee.
Nice. You should live in Japan.
So I am ready to go.
You could live here.
This is a spot I'm inclined to take the +1.5 with the Nationals. I feel like it's a play I've made a million times in my life. With varying amounts of success. I guess I've had some success with the Nats, not so much this year, but targeting the Nationals is in this spot against the Braves. I had some success with last year. I like Parker. I think there's a lot of upside with him as a starting pitcher. Bryan pointed a lot of that out. So he's a guy I do like. That being said, I will likely wait to see if Acuna is up with the Braves tonight. So my gut tells me that he's probably back. I watched every one of his games with Gwinnett last week, bet a couple of them. He definitely looked a little he had great at bats, but you could tell they put him out in right field. He kind of didn't hustle to a ball. It wasn't that he wasn't hustling, but he was kind of I think what Bryan said, he was kind of going half speed. And by the end of the week, he kind of looked hey, I'm Ronald Acuna. Get me back in this big league lineup. I'd be really surprised if he's not already with the team and in the lineup tonight, which helps against a lefty like Mitchell Parker. Now, with that being said, I believe Gwinnett plays in Louisville tonight. Reasonably close proximity to Washington, D.C. So they could theoretically give him another game. But just knowing how these teams operate, I wouldn't be surprised if around 2-3 o'clock you saw a tweet that Acuna's back, he's in the lineup, and that without a question would be a boost for the Atlanta lineup, because he had great at-bats all week at AAA last week. I'm not worried about him hitting one bit. I don't think he's going to be out there in right field right away, but I'm not worried about him giving good at-bats. So I tentatively like the Nats. If they're going to give Acuna more time and he's not in that lineup, I'd be more inclined to take the Nats plus 1.5 because I think the Nationals still have a lot of upside. They're a young team. They've got guys that are scrappy, and I don't think that the market has them priced appropriately. Look at how they were priced all weekend against the Orioles. Like, I mean, the Orioles were a minus 180 favorite on Sunday. The day before, they were like minus 160. So I still don't think the Nats are priced appropriately. And going back to what Bryan said, Strider may be a little bit overvalued in this sort of current state. Okay, let's see what else we have here in the chat. Let's go to a different game. Yeah, Ethan, same. The Orioles are becoming unbackable. Absolutely loved the spot for them yesterday, but just couldn't get it done. That is a very reasonable sort of account of that game. I had the Orioles as a 5% play. Thought it was insane that I was getting plus money against Quinn Priester, and the Orioles just they come back to tie the game. Then they don't execute late. They botch a bunt play. Gunnar Henderson had a ball go under his glove. If he knocks it down, it stays on the infield. It stays a tie game. It's just like they can't get out of their own way right now. So as much as I do think they have to turn it around a little bit, it's tough. I don't even know if I have the stomach to come back with the Orioles right here. So I'll go to Bryan Leonard. Can you stomach an Orioles bet at plus money tonight?
I've been fading the Orioles on a regular basis. Didn't understand the reason. Obviously, we all handicap differently. Didn't understand the reason why they were taking money again yesterday. They got Aiken going today. He's usually a longer reliever. He has pitched high leverage in the past. He could probably get you 3 innings, I would guess, in this game. He is a lefty, and I've touched on that a little bit. It's going against Henderson for Milwaukee, who is a guy that everybody's really excited about, which is probably one of the reasons why Milwaukee is a little bit favored in this game over Baltimore, and because the Orioles stink right now. But I've always liked Aiken, and last year I had a 3.32 ERA, 0.94 whip. His whip this year is at 123, but his ERA is still good. Expected ERA at 3.79. Doesn't have any extension, so the batters do have the extra time to adjust to him, but his expected batting average 81st percentile, strikeout rate 73rd percentile, and he's at 15.2 strikeout minus walk ratio, which is good, but you got to keep in mind he's been pitching out of the bullpen. This will only be his second spot start for Baltimore. But as I was talking about his opposition, Logan Henderson. Henderson comes in perfect 2-0 in his starts this year, 2.45 ERA, 0.82 WHIP, and his expected ERA is 2.84. So everything he has done, that is what he deserves. He also struggles with extension, only in the 17th percentile. More of a fly ball pitcher. His ground ball rate is low. So we're getting, this is a pretty neutral hitting standpoint for the stadium here, but I'm somewhat interested in Baltimore because I think Henderson, as the day goes on, he's going to be bet up. And if you like Milwaukee, I could see a 120 out there right now, but I also see, one of the bigger ones out there just went to 132. They've got more of a spread. That's the Sports 411 and Chris. But if you like Milwaukee, I think this line is going to go up as the day goes on. If it does get up to a higher range, I may have some interest in Baltimore.
Yeah, looking at my numbers, I actually have Baltimore's bullpen ranked fairly high. I'm not sure why. I'll have to take a look into that. But I have their bullpen ranked in the top 10 currently. That's current form. So I haven't paid a lot of attention to Baltimore baseball recently because it's almost unwatchable. But I don't have their bullpen ranked that bad. So if this is a bullpen game, I would actually favor Baltimore over Milwaukee in this one. Don't know a lot about Henderson, but he's ranked pretty high, but I'm sure the sample size is quite small. I think an under in this one would probably be in the cards. And let me take a look at what the over under is on this one. This might be my parlay leg here. Is that 8.5? I'll go under 8.5 for my leg of the parlay here, because neither team can hit very well. And I think Baltimore's bullpen is not bad at all. So I'm going to go under 8.5 in this one for my leg of the parlay.
Couple things quick. Let us know. I think our audio is fixed. It said we were cutting in and out for a minute, but it sounds fine to me on this end. I think it's fixed. And as far as like my screen being a bouncing ball, yeah, I was trying to fix the audio and I kept knocking my camera. So I shouldn't be bouncing up and down anymore either. As far as the Orioles Brewers is concerned, I'm very inclined to. So I do think Aiken's going to be more of an opener here. They've used him in this role a couple times. They had him opening for Charlie Morton at one point. So they probably will have a bulk guy come in. Like I would agree with Bryan, probably 2 innings for Aiken. And then they'll probably go with a bulk guy after that. I think best case scenario, he gets through the lineup once. So maybe, somewhere between 2 and 3 innings. I'm with you, TB. I don't now. Yenner Cano kind of like gave it up last night, but I don't mind Baltimore's leverage arms. They're higher leverage arms. We haven't seen Bautista in a couple days, so that the Orioles bullpen. When you get into if you get into a close game where it's a 1-run game or a tie game, I do trust their bullpen more than I trust others. Let's put it that way. So again, I love Henderson. But I don't know if he should be this big of a favorite at this point. And that would be my sort of issue with them. I think so. Last night's final was 5-4. I commented on this in my 5% write-up. The Brewers have only scored more than 5 runs once in the month of May. One time. It was Henderson's last start. I actually cashed in that game. I had the Brewers. They beat the Guardians 9-5. They're just not, last night, I felt like they were a little bit fortunate. 3 of those runs were scored on Kramer in a situation where if Carlson doesn't miss the cutoff, that's probably a 2-1 inning. Like I said, Gunnar Henderson, letting one get under his glove. I'm with you, TB. I don't mind the under, and I'm going to be very tempted to go back with the with the Orioles at plus money as well. So I just don't know if I have the stomach for it 2 days in a row, but certainly the way I am looking. I lost that. So I lost the comment I wanted to go to, but it was
Bryan,
Mark
did you put a finger up just now?
Well,
go ahead.
You're closer to the camera, so it's hard to see your finger. You're closer to the camera. I can't see your finger now. So.
Okay. I do want to point out that I said if you like Milwaukee, you should bet it now, and it just got hit at 3 other places. So maybe somebody's watching that felt the same way because, I expect that line to go up.
Yeah, that's it. Just an interesting scenario that the Orioles have going right now. Almost a little bit unprecedented. So who even knows right there? Markinson, I'm coming to your game. I see I saved us, because, the parlay. I didn't use it for the parlay, thankfully, even though I found a different game to lose on in the parlay. Yes, saved us from White Sox yesterday. But they play again today, and I got to be honest, they're even more appealing today. Because I'm just not sure Casey Lawrence should be this big of a favorite in a big league game. Like that's, I've watched him a ton for Tacoma. He's a guy that is like a fringe AAA guy. I've never was super impressed with him at AAA. So how could he be? And is that what the Mariners are going with? Is it Lawrence listed as the starter now?
It's got nothing on our line service.
So So I think I saw potentials. I think it would be his turn at Tacoma. So if they call someone up, it's possibly him. That's something to keep an eye on, is who the Mariners are going to go with for their starting pitcher in this game. But depending on who they use, because I know right now, I think George Kirby ended up pitching middle of last week. So he hasn't looked great at Tacoma. I don't know if they're kind of giving him more time. He's kind of gotten roughed up in his last couple minor league starts. So this very well could be like a one-off, just use whoever the next guy is up at AAA. If it's someone like Lawrence, I'd have to look at White Sox plus 1.5 here. I'll go back to what I was saying yesterday. They're going to be value every day, pretty much every day. The White Sox are going to be value. Some days it makes more sense than others. I didn't love the White Sox starter yesterday. Wilson's a guy I can get behind a little bit more. So that's my take on this one. I'm leaning toward the White Sox on the run line. Bryan, Leonard, do you see it the same way, or do you have no interest in the White Sox right now?
Well, in regards to the injured pitcher, he's had enough time now where he may be experimenting with different pitches, trying to do that kind of thing. So I wouldn't read too much into his last two starts. He knows he's just trying to get ready for the pros. And as we said in the past, that's the difference between the minor leagues and the major leagues. They don't care if they win in the minor leagues. They'll tell you that they do, but the management does not care. Bryce Wilson going for Chicago. And, you've got to give a ton of credit to the pitching coach in Chicago, because the starters are giving them a chance to win every game. But they're getting from 1 through 5, 1 through 6. The White Sox continue to come out and pitch well from a starting pitcher standpoint. Now, if you take a look at Bryce Wilson's numbers, his Statcast numbers are bad. He's in the 1% expected ERA, 1% batting average, 5th whiff percentage, 3rd strikeout percentage, strikeout minus walk rate of 3.2. But they seem to find something that people right now are just having a hard time hitting them. And without knowing who the starter is for Seattle, I won't get involved. But maybe an overplay if they do use that guy that you were thinking of out there. We're looking at a total of 8. I see a couple 8.5s pay. You probably get plus money coming back. But we'll see who they come out and if your guy you've been scouting does get the start, maybe we play the over here. But the White Sox starting pitch has been fantastic.
I'm gonna stay away. There's too many X factors here. I don't know who's pitching for Seattle, and Bryce Wilson doesn't even register on my, probably because he doesn't have enough starts or innings pitched in the last 30 days. He's not registering in my numbers. So I will say that Seattle's bullpen is ranked fairly high at 7 on my numbers, and their lineup is ranked 20. So that's prime candidate for unders. Add to the fact that the White Sox can't hit, they're ranked 25. But I kind of agree with Bryan that the White Sox have kept themselves in a lot of games. So they're a scary team to bet against. It's not an auto fade like Colorado or someone else, other bad teams like Miami or whatever. Miami's not even an auto fade either, but I agree. The White Sox are a scrappy bunch and they can beat anyone on any day. I'm going to stay away from this one though.
So I just went back through Tacoma's who pitched last week and whatnot. The only guy that makes even remote sense for a call up here that lines up is going to be Casey Lawrence. Kirby pitched on Friday, and they're going to give him one more start at the AAA level. He was a disaster the last 2 times out. So I don't think he's coming back this week. I think he gets one more at Tacoma. If it's Lawrence, which I fully expect it to be, he's someone I'm willing to play against. Haven't ever been impressed with him at the AAA level. Would absolutely play against him here, and I just don't think based on yesterday's price and how this one's priced at the open, I just think the books are like, okay, yeah, Mariners 2-1 against the White Sox. Last night's game was 5-0. I think they'll keep it like that all week. White Sox plus 1.5 is very, very appealing. Might end up being a client play for me too. I go back. I echo Bryan's sentiment. The pitching's been so much better. This is a team that is not going to be a contender this year by any means, but they're starting to at least trend toward being a competitive baseball team. Like, if you go back to the beginning of the season, looking at where like the people are like, oh, the Rockies, the White Sox, like the White Sox are so much further along right now than a team like the Rockies, yet they still kind of get priced similar. So White Sox is definitely one I've got my eye on tonight. All right, yeah, we'll recap it. How did the parlay do yesterday besides Red Sox money line? Bryan Leonard won with Red Sox money line. I think we both lost our leg, right, TB? Did yours land 4?
I think mine was Kansas City first 5 under.
No, you had the over in the Angels game, I believe. And I believe
it
landed.
Okay.
Yeah. So you had the over in the Angels game, which landed 4-3. And my leg on the Rays did not hit. So we've lost back-to-back parlays, but we hit the first 3. So right now, The show parlay is 3-2. These are 3-teamers, plus like 13 units. So very, very strong start to the total basis show parlay. We have one leg locked in so far today, which, correct me if I'm wrong, TB, we've got Brewers, Orioles, full game under 8.5 is what you, your leg.
Yes. And keep in mind, guys, that these parlays, when we put them together, they're generally about plus 600, which means if we win one out of 6, we're breaking even.
We need one a week, and we'll make a whole bunch in the course of the season. TB, when you get a chance, and Brian, if you have Odds Logic up, which is a great product, everyone else should look at Odds Logic too. I think you can sign up through the WagerTalk site. What's the juice on that total under 8.5 for the Orioles game?
Right now it's like minus 105. You can get a plus 100, but minus 105 is the general.
We'll call it minus 105. That'll work. And
Pinnacle minus 101, but yeah, I wouldn't argue with 105.
Let's go to Dayton. Dayton Monday. I had the Giants yesterday, and they burned me with that loss. Bounce back game today for the Giants. Brian Leonard, Giants Royals. What do we think?
Yeah, that was my free play yesterday that I got everybody to go to the website, and I know you did. I feel like a high school teacher. But yeah, we had the under in that game, and obviously wire to wire winner there. Watch that game. Really good pitching. The teams lack hitting. That's their problem. Kansas City is San Francisco today. Let's take a look at this one. Give me just a moment because I never know what game we're going to here. All right. Lorenzen's going today against Birdsong. They're finally getting Birdsong up into the starting rotation. Lorenzen's been one of those guys that he continues to eat innings, comes in with a 3.76 ERA, 1.23 whip, expected ERA 4.03. For the most part, he's in that same range all the time. You know what you're going to get out of him. No extension, 7th percentile. So the team's got plenty of time to figure out what he's throwing, but he doesn't walk anybody. He's in the 71st percentile of that. But overall, his numbers are generic. He would be a number 4 starter in Major League Baseball, no matter what team he played on. But he's a guy that gives you the innings, that keeps your team in the game. And for Kansas City right now, that's what they need. Hayden Birdsong, his numbers look a lot better when you're taking a look at his Savant page, but I still have some concerns. His ground ball percentage is only in the 12th percentile, so he does give up a lot of fly balls. Hard hit rate, 15th percentile. Walk rate, 32nd percentile. So he can be hit here too. 2.31 ERA coming in, expected 4.14. Obviously, when he's pitching out of the bullpen, your numbers should be a little bit better there. I like San Francisco a little bit here, but I think it's a little too high. Lean with them, but I don't want to get involved at this price. I thought if we could get a minus 125, I think it'd be worth to play. But now I'm seeing the best number I see is 132. So I'll keep an eye on it. If money comes in on Kansas City, I'll play San Francisco at 125, but I think that number's probably gone.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Birdsong to do this one, but I've been doing Royals team total unders because they haven't been hitting very well lately. San Francisco's bullpen is always solid, and I like the park for unders. San Francisco, obviously, a lot of unders in that park. But I'm probably not going to play that today because I just don't know enough about the starting pitcher. Again, too many X factors to put money on it for me. So I'm laying off.
So I'll talk about Hayden Birdsong for a second. Last year, he kind of got rushed to the big leagues. And I guess a point I'll make about like AAA baseball now, I think it's better, like significantly better than it was like 5-10 years ago. I think you have more veterans willing to hang around and extend their careers by playing AAA because the money is better. The ballparks are nicer. It's now run by Major League Baseball. So the caliber, like the quality of AAA baseball is, in my opinion, as good as it's ever been. And you have a guy like Birdsong who basically missed AAA. And I think that's to these a detriment to some of these young guys. It used to be AA prospect, cup of coffee at AAA, go to the big leagues, because that's just how it used to work. Now it happens sometimes, but I do think there's a big benefit to having like at least half season, maybe more, at the AAA level, especially for a pitcher as you're trying to learn how to get big league hitters out. Last year, he got thrown into the big leagues because the Giants didn't have a choice. They had so many injuries in their starting rotation. He came up, I think he made like 2 starts at AAA, right to the big league roster. Now, to his credit, he had a good spring, made the club out of spring training. I still think he's kind of developing, but he's doing it at the big league level. He's been in the bullpen a little bit, so that's been, kind of a tough task for him to have to like adapt to the role they want him in. He has so much upside. I think he's there. He's the top pitching prospect. In my opinion, you got Wisenhunt, Seymour. There's some good guys, Mason Black. There's some good guys in that organization. Birdsong is the best one, in my opinion. Like right now, from if I combine last year, this year, all levels, he's probably the one I'm highest on. Maybe Wisenhunt's the next one that's behind him. I'm very high on Birdsong. I love the Giants in this spot. I'm just not getting the price I want. Minus 145, I believe it's what it's at right now, a little bit steep. If the Royals take money, which they tend to when they're an underdog, I might play back at this. If I can get this down like the minus 130, minus 135 range, I'd be willing to take a shot with the Giants. Right now, just a little bit out of my price range here.
The chat is loving Bryan.
Well, I haven't even got...
Love Bryan's intelligence. Bryan, Red Sox money line clutch. Bryan's getting the praise today.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. There's so many chat comments now that like I get very, very lost in it. When we first started this show, it was easy to follow the chat comments. Now there's so many. I lose my spot in the chat. But yeah, they are shouting out Bryan. Yeah, he had a great call yesterday with the Red Sox plus money. That was an excellent handicap.
I clicked that one.
I would have traded that for the Pirates win, but that's okay.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's go back to that. It's the Indians say back the Pirates. I'll go to you, Bryan. Any interest in coming back with them tonight?
Well, they do have the lefty, which is something Cincinnati against lefties this year. I don't think it's anything special. 6-7, so they haven't been much. But yeah, they've got Martinez going, and he's a guy I'm usually trying to bet on, and he looked really good his last time out. And you're getting him on the road. He's got a lot of red now on his Savant page. Off-speed run value 90th percentile, walk rate 86th, hard hit rate 80th. He's doing what we expected him to do. 3.66 ERA, 1.16 whip, 3.49 expected ERA. He's a guy that maybe we could play Pittsburgh under here. Yesterday, they didn't start their one talented power hitter. They gave him the day off yesterday because they did face lefty. Today they're facing a righty with Martinez, so O'Neill will probably be back in there, O'Neill Cruz. Falter's a guy that I'm not a huge fan of, and if you take a look at his numbers, he's mediocre. 4.02 ERA, 1.21 whip, 3.71 expected ERA. The advantage he has is he's got great extension. He's in the 96th percentile in extension, but other than that, he's like mediocre and everything else. So you don't have as much time to react, but his fastball is hittable. Strikeout percent only in the 22nd percentile, whiff in the 12th. So Cincinnati's the better team here, but like I said yesterday, the teams don't play as well against lefties. Lean Cincinnati probably won't get there with it, but I think that's a pretty sizable advantage from the starting pitcher standpoint. Maybe first 5, or maybe we just play Pittsburgh team total first 5 under. Let me see what that is as we're speaking. Pittsburgh's 1.5 over 135. I don't like to play under 1.5 very often, but that's something to take a look at also.
Yeah, I agree basically with everything Bryan said. I actually went through my rankings here, and I run my numbers with zero bias, and then I go look at them and see what comes up, because I don't just blindly follow my numbers, but sometimes something pops up and I'm like, whoa. And Nick Martinez is ranked number 15 out of every starting pitcher I have. And I'm like, whoa, because I saw him pitch here in Japan and he sucked. So he played for SoftBank and he was awful. And he got deported to somewhere to the minors. Maybe he picked up a pitch, or maybe the work ethic in Japan rubbed off on him. But I got him ranked 15, and I don't know why, because I've watched him pitch and I'm not really enamored with him, to be honest. But looking at the matchup today, I got Falter on a curve of 30. I got Falter at 19, and I got Nick Martinez at 6. So bullpen, Cincinnati 10, Pittsburgh 23, and then batting current form mainly Cincinnati very mediocre at 14, but Pittsburgh at 29 out of 30. So everything leans Reds. And generally when I have the two teams 10 points or more apart, given all the rankings, it's a bet on, and this is 12 points apart. So this would be a bet on for Cincinnati. The number is bad, but you can probably get a -1 for about -140 or so. So you can take a money line for -130. It was a steal in my opinion. I don't know why the number's that low. Are the books anti-Cincinnati or something? Because this game should be a runaway. What do you think, Adam?
To be honest, I don't have a huge opinion on this game. I do want to just point out what Ethan says in the chat. Interesting point he makes. I personally thought the Pirates would come out flat yesterday off a 1-0 loss in the Paul Skeens complete game. That's a great point. Skeens was awesome on Sunday, just got outdueled by Mick Abel. That's a tough way to lose, when for this Pirates team, when Skeens turns in an effort like that and you can't win. I think there's some merit to that comment from Ethan. So great point right there. As far as this game, I'm going to use this spot to add leg number 2 of the parlay. I'm going to use White Sox plus 1.5. I'm very confident it's going to be Casey Lawrence for the Mariners. And when that is announced, I think that moves probably 10 to 15, maybe even 20 cents. So right now, MGM, DraftKings, all of the legals, at least here in New York, have White Sox plus 1.5, like -110. I think once that starting pitching announced, it's going to move. So I'm going to use that for my parlay leg. White Sox plus 1.5. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, if we were able to go back, which is what you seem to be doing, I want to use my parlay leg also while we got a chance.
All right.
Before it gets too late. I'll go back to that Atlanta-Washington game. I really think Strider's going to struggle a little bit in this game. So I just said I didn't like to play unders in 1.5 team totals in first 5. Well, luckily I don't have to. I'm looking to play Washington over 1.5 first 5 against Atlanta and Strider. It's anywhere from -110 to -125. You can pick whatever you like. Right now, I'm seeing 2 125s, 119, and a 110. So choose whatever you like. It's probably
we'll call it -120. We'll call it -120 is fine. So
let's use that before we go on then.
All right. So we've got the parlay. I guess I'll announce it and I'll do it one more time at the end of the show. I know people want to find it. So we've got the 3-teamer for today. Tokyo Brandon's going with the under in full game under 8.5 Brewers Orioles. I'm going with White Sox plus 1.5. That's a full game -110 full game side right there. And then Brian Leonard has Nationals team total over 1.5 for the first 5 innings. And before the end of the show, I'll actually calculate that and get a price on that. I'll announce it again at the end of the show. Let's go to Craig, because we can't have a show where we don't talk about Patrick Corbin on a day that he's pitching, of course. Yeah, I mean, the Rangers are starting to come around. Corbin's been great for where he's priced in the market. It's Rangers Yankees today. We'll go with we'll keep the order. Brian Leonard, Rangers Yankees. Thoughts on this one?
Yankees are only 4-5 on the season versus lefties, which puts them at 23-14 against righties. Somewhat of a concern there. I think the line's a little bit high, to be honest with you. Warren has looked really good his last 2 starts, but if you followed him in his career thus far, he's extremely inconsistent. And I don't like to lay numbers in this, 180, 190 range on a starting pitcher who is very inconsistent. I love what he's done lately. We'll see how it works out here against Texas. You still have Texas without Seager in the lineup. That hurts, but they have made a couple other improvements, I think, from their hitting standpoint. Slight lean with Texas here. Don't know if I'll get there.
Yeah, I got these starting pitchers basically dead even, ranked 15. Both of them ranked 15 on a curve of 30. So, Patrick Corbin having a heck of a season for himself. But the hitting also, I have fairly comparable, both teams, not much difference between them. The bullpen is where I see a big difference here. Yankees bullpen is much more solid, much more consistent. And another big discrepancy I see here is Will Warren's walk to strikeout ratio is much better than Corbin's. So yeah, how do you go here? Let's see. Pitching rank 13, hitting rank 16. I don't want to take an under here. I guess the Yankees would be the only way I'd go, but I'm not going to bet it.
I definitely think Corbin will be up for this start. It's very possible it's the last time he'll pitch at Yankee Stadium. Who knows how long he's in the league after this year. Clay, New York native. I'm sure he's got some of the family in attendance. So, as far as this game is concerned, though, guys, like, I'm more interested in the Rangers in general. Like, the handicap here for me is the Rangers. I think they're starting to come around, and you're going to just forget who's pitching right now. Corbin and Warren, like Tokyo Brandon said, probably equal out a little bit. Warren's a guy that's creeping up in my rankings. I think, at the beginning of this year, I sort of said, oh, he probably belongs at Scranton, and I think he's coming around. Corbin's just done what I would expect a solid veteran southpaw to do. That's in a much better situation than he was last year with the Nationals. That being said, I am interested in the Rangers because I think they're still one of the better teams in the American League when they're, at their sort of full strength and when they're playing to potential. So I think the Rangers are undervalued just as a team. And I'd like to, I have interest in them plus 1.5, which I also think is in that like minus 110 range. Brian, did you have something to add there?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if you put your hand up, but yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And then Rangers, of course, being the road team, you get the extra at bat. The plus 1.5 is a little extra value when you have the road team, force the home team to beat you essentially in 8 at bats by more than 2 runs. And this is still like Yankees just had a very grueling, high intensity series with the Mets over the weekend. I know they had the day off yesterday, but still, I think the Rangers are definitely a live dog in this game. Yeah, we'll go back to Mark Kinson. We can cover the Padres Blue Jays. There is time. So we'll go to Brian Leonard. Padres Blue Jays. They used to call this interleague play. Now it's just a standard Tuesday in Major League Baseball. What do you have here?
Do we have a starter for Toronto?
That's a good question. Let's see. I didn't to be perfectly honest, I didn't really look much at this game yet. I know it's Dylan Cease for the visiting team.
Bassett.
You sure?
I was going to say I didn't see Bassett, but I'm going to try to check a couple of different screens here because I think Bassett's like the probable that I see a couple of places. I don't know that that's been announced, but
ESPN is announcing Bassett, but they could be wrong.
We can operate under that assumption. I wouldn't. That makes some sense.
Yeah, without knowing who the starter is, I don't want to comment much on it. I will say that Cease is starting to come around. He's a very good pitcher, and he's pitching much better lately. So I'll just pass it off to you guys.
Okay, I'll take over from there. Actually, San Diego is playing horrible right now. I don't know what's gone on with their bullpen. At the beginning of the season, like the first 2 weeks of the season, their bullpen was elite. And talent-wise, they are elite, but they're not playing elite right now. Might have to do with the fact that they're getting pounded. Just like it's kind of odd, but the Dodgers and the Padres are both just going down the toilet at the same time. And the bullpens are suffering because of it. Like we've said on this show, when you're losing, you don't leverage your good arms. You put whomever into the game. I have the Blue Jays batting better than the Padres right now. I have the Blue Jays bullpen ranked 6th, where I have the Padres ranked 22nd. And I got both pitchers fairly comparable. I agree with Bryan. Dylan Cease is pitching a lot better than he did to start the season. I like Bassett. I know nobody likes him, but he's definitely an innings eater. He's a warrior. He goes out there and he'll pitch 6 innings for you. He'll give up 2 or 3 runs, but he'll pitch 6 innings for you and save your bullpen. I like Bassett. So, and I like I would go with the Blue Jays here actually, just because they're in better form. But it's not an official play, but if I did bet it, I would go with the Blue Jays here.
So I think San Diego, I think the bullpen issues stem from usage. I've talked about this a little bit last week. They have asked a ton from their high leverage arms. Reason being, like they've been without multiple starters this whole year, and then the back end, the guys that they've been using at the back end of this rotation, the Steven Kolek, Randy Vasquez, Kyle Hart, haven't really given them length, but their offense and the Padres are just good enough to be in those games. So what ends up happening is you get 4 innings from a guy like Vasquez, but you're in the game. And then you pretty much are asking your top bullpen guys to go get it done over the next 5 innings. It might be a blessing in disguise that they got pounded all weekend by the Mariners. Never really, didn't have many leads in that series. So they were able to sort of pump the brakes on some of these leverage guys. And then, of course, the off day yesterday. Now, you could say the same thing. Same thing helps the Blue Jays out here, too. The Blue Jays went all in on bullpen usage on Saturday and Sunday, really. They really wanted to get one of those from the Tigers. I think Saturday, the game I backed them, they used everyone. Green was on a I think they used him back-to-back days, little back-to-back days, Hoffman, Garcia, and then they came back and used Garcia again on Sunday. So the day off will help them as well. I don't know if I have a side here, but I feel like it could be a tight game. So maybe an under if Bassett is in fact the starter. But like Bryan said, tough to really know how to bet this until the Jays go with a starter. That being said, I do think it's probably Bassett, and this is a coin flip. Like TB, if you're getting plus money on the Blue Jays, I think I might agree with you maybe a little bit of value there, based on how the teams are playing.
Depends on how much plus. Dylan Cease is a good pitcher, though. I really hate going against him, but at what? Yeah, it's only plus 109. I might not do that.
Tyler says favorite show of the week by far. Tyler, we appreciate you and everyone that tunes in. Please like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah.
Jump in the comment. Tell us if you think our picks are trash. Tell us if you think they're good. Let us know if you've cashed anything on the parlay so far. Although we've got to get one today, and I'll announce it again at the end of the show in a couple minutes. Mark Hinson in there. Hit that like button, people. Leg Show Magazine. That's my guy from college basketball.
Leg Show
Magazine. In every college basketball show there is, he says Rangers first 5. Okay.
Hey,
I think I agree with Colin. More Rangers plus 1.5. Go ahead.
I might start a Japanese Leg Show magazine.
That's an interesting thought.
Rangers plus
interesting
1.5.
Interesting thought. Let's get another game in here. There's still a couple more. I want to get something that the chat is asking about. Okay. Couple people, I lost the comment, but people want to know. People want to talk about Houston, Tampa Bay. I, of course, used the Rays as my parlay leg yesterday. It did not work out. It was a competitive game. Rays just didn't execute at the end of that game. So, interesting enough, though, it's a very similar matchup today where you have the Rays at home against another guy that the Astros are just kind of grabbing from AAA and Brandon Walter. So I'll start with Ryan Leonard. Any interest in backing the Rays at a better price today?
I would take the Rays over Houston. Brandon Walter, 6'2", 201-pound, 28-year-old. Last time he pitched in the majors was 2023. He had a 6.26 ERA in 23 innings, a 1.70 whip. Obviously not very impressive at that point. Does have good extension, 79th percentile. Fastball velocity is not very good, 13th percentile. So we don't know how long he's going to go in this game, but while he's in there, I think Tampa Bay can have some success. Zach Littell is one of those guys. You look at his numbers at the end of the year, and he's got good numbers every year, but I never seem to bet on him. He comes in with an expected ERA of 4.90. It's a 4.31, actually 1.12 whip. He doesn't walk anybody. He's in the 90th percentile of walk rate and 83rd percentile in chase rate. So he's fooling the opposition. And his walk rate is really what he's known for. But his strikeout rate is only 14.8% this year. Last year, it was 21.5. The previous year, 19.5. And the 2 previous years in the 20s. So his strikeout rate hasn't been as impressive this year. His whiff rate, 7th percentile. Strikeout rate, 7th percentile. I think he'll be passing this game. I'm not a huge fan of either one of these pitchers, but he finds ways to win. I got to give him credit.
I really don't have much to say about this because I don't know much about Walter, and I don't like Zach Littell because he lost me. I thought he was going to have a good season coming into the season. His peripherals were good, and I backed him a couple times, and I lost money, so I'm done backing him until he shows me something better. So I'm off this game, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it.
I'm strongly considering the Rays. This is on the short list for potential client plays today. I will just say that. Reason I like the Rays here. So Walter's a guy I've watched pitch for Sugarland. The last couple of weeks, Sugarland has run into some pretty poor lineups as far as like the PCL is concerned. So last week, all week, they got to play Reno, who's now Jordan Lawler's up at the big league level. They didn't hit at all. The week before, they played Salt Lake, who is the Angels AAA affiliate, awful lineup right now. So I think Walter's had a little bit of a good run at AAA this year, maybe not facing the best competition. He's kind of, all these AAA guys for the Astros are very similar. Blue Ball, yesterday's guy, which was Colton Gordon, and now Walter. They're guys that I think are serviceable at the AAA level. I don't know that anyone profiles with significant upside for the big league level. So bringing him up here like yesterday, there was less appeal because you had to lay like $1 minus 140 with the Rays, minus 135. Here, they're making Walter the favorite. That's what I think the mistake is by the book. So but based on where the Rays are now priced now, in almost the same game as yesterday, right? Like Littell should be an edge pitching wise over Walter. It's almost the same game, yet now instead of laying minus 135, you can basically get pick or plus money. That's where the appeal is in this one on the Rays. Of course, the Astros used some bullpen arms yesterday. So yeah, Rays is a good bet. I'm going to be giving that one a hard look today. That might be a client play for me. All right, we got a couple minutes left. Let's get one more in here. You know what? I'm going to go to either of you. Is there a game that either of you really wanted to talk about today that we haven't talked about yet?
I have one.
Go
just
ahead.
Because I've got some good information on it. Philadelphia, Colorado. I mean, it's a big favorite and all. We talked about this yesterday. I know Brandon and I agreed that the team total for Philadelphia was in range. Take a look at what Colorado has done at home in the month of May. Going back to the 7th, they played the Tigers a series. Against the Tigers at home, they give up 8, 10, 11. Then they played the Padres at home. They give up 13, 21, and in 3. Only that's the only good game they've had at home. And then now in this series against Philadelphia, the first game they give up 9. We're still looking at that 6.5 here for team total for Philadelphia today. And they're going up against Cincinnati, who to me is the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball. I just want to point out what he has done.
Besides Patrick Corbin. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Patrick Corbin's an actual guy that you can bet on. But Cincinnati comes into this game. Everything's blue except for walk rate in his Savant page here. Comes in with a 6.39 ERA, but his expected ERA is 7.43. His WHIP is 199. If you think that's bad, last year, he only pitched 12 innings, but it was 186. So he's a guy that puts a lot of base runners on base. He does have a decent ground ball percentage in the 78th percentile, but Philadelphia knocked around the other guy, and it took him a while to do it. But once they got late in the game and got some hits against the bullpen, they really expanded. I think Philadelphia does again today. Over 6.5 here would be something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I just bag on Patrick Corbin to get a rise out of Adam. Adam was very correct in the fact that he said Patrick Corbin's going to have a decent season, and he is. I was correct in saying Colorado's going to have the worst record in MLB, and they are so far.
Yep.
But the way I'm going to approach this game, look, Luzardo, I have him number 6 out of all Major League Baseball pitchers. That's not on a curve. So he's pitching lights out right now. And I mean, just a change of atmosphere coming from toxic Miami to go into a World Series contender. I mean, sorry. Okay. You guys are going to jump on me for that. Miami might be a good.
No, it was toxic when he was there, TB. That's not wrong. Miami was a toxic scenario until about a year ago.
I mean, what I mean is they never had a shot at anything while he was there. So now he's got something to play for. And man, what a change of scenery for him. He's pitching lights out. And I liked him when he was at Miami as well. I like him even more now. As I said earlier, when I compare two teams, Philadelphia is top 6 in every category I have. Colorado is bottom 21 or worse in every category I have. I've never seen a discrepancy like this before. I've got Philadelphia overall ranked 6, while I have Colorado overall ranked 25th. So it's a big discrepancy. Money line minus 280 something is a little hard to take. But actually, I know that as a professional capper, I shouldn't be giving advice like this, but Philadelphia -1 at minus 240 is value to me. I'm going to bet it. I don't care.
We nailed this game yesterday, so I think it was a 9-3 final. I said over. Bryan said Philly had some value where it was, and you both said over 6.5. All of that came in. I very much agree with Bryan. Antonio Senzatela is hands down the worst regular starting pitcher, meaning like guy that goes out there every 5 days in Major League Baseball. It's not remotely close. It is not remotely close. That is, without a doubt, should be your lowest rated MLB starter that is a regular starter in the league. I almost think you could like ladder Philly here and like almost take like maybe like -1.5, -2.5, -3.5. You could almost ladder it up and start to take the plus money and play for another blowout. Reason why? Their offense is probably going to do it again. If Luzardo's good, Rockies aren't going to score much. If he's got his good stuff, they're not going to score much. You could just go ladder on Philly and start taking the plus money with the big, go ahead, guys. Jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that Colorado is now 1-12 on the season versus lefties.
I just wanted to point out that Freeland is a pretty good pitcher who held Philadelphia down yesterday, and Senzatela is not that pitcher.
Yeah, and there's also some bullpen usage out of the Rockies. They've been in their last couple games. So they were in that game on Saturday was an insane game with the Diamondbacks. They were in that one. Sunday they play a 1-0 game. Yesterday Freeland sort of kept them around long enough to kind of force them to use a couple bullpen guys. So they might get bombed at the end of this game too. I think Phillies team total over. Ladder the Phillies any way you want. This feels like a double-digit output for the Phils. That's my gut.
Halverson and Bird will not be playing tonight. They both pitched 2 of the last 3 days, including throwing a lot yesterday. So, they're limited in their bullpen.
Colorado.
Yeah, and Halverson and Bird have been their 2 best, most consistent relief pitchers all season.
Halverson pitched yesterday.
Yeah, especially Bird.
Did Bird pitch yesterday? Because I know Halverson did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They've used, and again, if you're the Rockies and you're just trying to like set yourself up to be competitive in certain games, this might be the spot where you take your 10-run loss on the chin and maybe go down the road later this week, try to win a game you can actually win against a pitcher that you can actually hit.
It's funny that you and I are talking about this because I think by doing the show long enough, I realized that you like to look for underdogs. I like to look for underdogs. And yet all 3 of us are looking at the favorite.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
money is money, you guys. And I said, Philadelphia -1. I can't imagine them not winning this game. Of course, anything can happen in sports betting. Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Douglas in Tokyo, but I don't see that happening today. I just don't. And -240 seems like value to me. I'm going to bet -240. I don't care.
It's 280 in most places right now. 270 is the cheapest I can see.
-1. -1 is 240. Yeah. I don't care. I'll take it.
Yep.
All right. We have reached the end of the show. Again, give us a like, give us a subscribe to the channel. We want to continue to do this 5 days a week. And if you're in the comments, running it up with the likes, we'll be able to do that. The show parlay, which we need to, we really came out hot on this, hit the first 3. So we've got ourselves a nice little bankroll, but the people want to win, and hopefully we have one today. Under Brewers, Orioles, under 8.5, full game for Tokyo Brandon. Of course, I never actually ran. I got to run the parlay odds. TB, do you remember the parlay enough to read it off?
Which one? Today's?
Today's.
His part was -105, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, mine was
-105.
Okay.
I got it. All right, here we go. So
I was busy time stamping, and I'm 55. I don't have a good memory.
You're getting paid twice as much now because you time stamp.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it comes out to plus 583. So just a shade under 6-1. We've got under 8.5 Brewers Orioles. We've got White Sox plus 1.5 for the full game. And then we have a first 5 under, or I'm sorry, first 5 over 1.5 runs for the Nationals. That's Bryan's leg, comes out to about -120. So one final time, Nationals, first 5 over 1.5. White Sox plus 1.5 for the full game. Orioles, Brewers under 8.5 for the full game. Comes out to plus 583. Hopefully we have a parlay winner here. And either way, we'll see you back here 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to talk more baseball. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, run it up in the comments. Let us know what you want more of, what you want less of. We know you want me to talk less, but listen, I'm trying to host and be the panelist at the same time. It's not easy, but either way, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you tuning in.
Comment on the replay.
Cash all your tickets. Comment on the replay. Yes.